What's going on, y'all? We're live. It's been a while. Had to take a little bit of time for the holidays and to kind of get my head straight on a couple of things, and so I'm back to burn. I had an entire episode planned, but I decided to kind of veer off because we had some developments pop up, and they're pretty good. But one of the things I wanted to discuss was, and this isn't a marketing video, so if that's what you're looking for today. I'm probably going to do that on Friday. Um, this is or Thursday or Friday. This one is more along the lines of the lies that social media influencers kind of tell you and the myth of the overnight success. And so that's what we're going to get into, and maybe some interesting things along my path. And that's what we'll get into. So, get you after the intro. Peace. All right, y'all. My name is Brian, and this is the Unstuck Sessions. And this platform serves a couple of different purposes. One is to educate people about how to get unstuck with their business or marketing, and the other side is talk some development stuff that I picked up along the way. I have a lot of background in developing staff and employees. I have my personal development journey, and I'm more into sharing what I'm doing or what I've done as opposed to telling you how to do it. So a lot of it's going to be me sharing from my experiences, and so I wanted to come on today and kind of talk about one of the myths that I've seen out there. And it's really something that I see hit a lot of entrepreneurs specifically because we do play the comparison game a lot as business owners. And one of the challenging things is not to fall victim to comparing yourself against other business owners that you see online, and specifically with the online, specifically with the social media part. And that's what I want to get into. Um, and then talk about some of the stuff I've seen where it's kind of the myth of the overnight celebrity or overnight success. One of the things I say a lot is it takes a long time to be an overnight success, and people don't quite grasp the gravity of that statement. Here, let me fix this camera here real quick. Sorry. All right. So it takes a long time to be an overnight success, and people don't necessarily grasp the gravity of what I'm saying when I say that. What I mean when I say it takes a long time to be an overnight success is most people only see the success part. They see the part where everything's going great and the subject of the success is assured. They're assured of what they're doing, and they're reaping the benefits, and every investment they put in pays back within a reasonable time span and things like that. And so a lot of times when you see these overnight success, um, oh, I made a video and it went viral, folks, there's a lot of stuff that they don't show you in terms of what it took to be at that level, what it took to finally land the perfect viral video, the hours of research it takes to look at thumbnails and titles and do the SEO stuff that makes videos rank near the top on search engines and stuff like that. They don't show you how many other failed projects that they've embarked on, or how many things that didn't work, or things that they're actively working on that don't work. There's all kinds of different things that you don't see. And so the only thing you see is success. What is it? Success has a thousand fathers. Failure is always an orphan. That's kind of how it runs. And so they don't show you the actual grind. They show you their process, but they don't show you what it took, the failed attempts that it took to hammer out and perfect the process. And so I think, specifically with social media, one of the things that drives engagement on social media, specifically in the influencer space, when we're talking about the motivational folks or the millionaire real estate folks or all the fitness folks, one of the things that they don't necessarily show you is the jujitsu that happens behind the scenes to present you the image of success that you see in front of them. So there's a lot of fitness folks out there. They don't tell you about And it's not all of them. There's a lot of people in the natty or the natural space where they don't really go the route of all the supplements and all the other stuff. But there's a crop of like fitness influencers out there. They use every supplement known to man. Some of them are legal. Some of them you probably shouldn't be rocking with. All kinds of surgeries, start crash dieting, dehydration, a lot of the stuff that, bodybuilders will do, to get ready for shows. They do that for shoots every single time. And they're presenting you this false image of what their success actually looks like. They don't show you what they actually look like. They really prep and preen. And so that happens across the board. You see the mega and one of the things that, since I'm in the digital marketing space, I need to talk about it. Um, the digital marketers specifically that sell you the false image of how successful they are. They're pulling up in, the Lamborghini, and they're hopping out and hopping into a plane, and, big wads of cash and all other stuff. All that stuff can be all that stuff can be faked or purchased or leased or rented. Some of them will go and drain their entire bank account just so they can flash a wad of money on the screen. And they're showing you success triggers like, well, they're successful in their brain. So anything that they're trying to sell me along those lines, along the lines of products, must make me as equally successful as them. That's what happens, y'all. And it's a game. It's a hustle. Um, a lot of times, for the entrepreneurship nerds out there like myself, um, you know, there's this weird myth, and it's kind of a pervasive one, where you always equate the job to a ball and chain or some kind of prison that you need to escape. And it puts a lot of entrepreneurs on the wrong foot. It put me on the wrong foot, where it said, you got to go quit your job to be an entrepreneur. And if you're not successful within this specific horizon or by this specific scale, then you're a failure. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And I thought that there was this weird timer above my head, and I had to reach a certain point of success in order to claim to be successful, if that makes sense. And it does more harm than good, because you try to take a lot of shortcuts. You try to cheat, you try to hack your way into success. You try to shortcut your way around the lessons that you need to learn in order to be successful running your own business. And those shortcuts end up costing you future success. But people don't see that. They don't really see the grind it takes. And so, the overnight success thing for me has been like a 7-year journey. And it's not even all the way right now. Shoot, there are times where all my money's tied up in my businesses, and I have to put a gap into the investment. Like, there's this time element that puts a gap and displaces the investment from the return. And for a lot of human beings, you're not programmed to really deal with those gaps in time the right way. You're used to being able to put your money into something, and you have this expectation that the returns are going to come on a timetable that's considered relatively soon for you. And that's where a lot of business owners fail. I'll be honest with you, because that time, that displacement between the original investment and the return on investment, it ends up getting warped. And so people think that they're actually throwing their money away on things like knowledge and courses that teach you how to be better at what you do, when realistically, you haven't put in the time for it to be successful. And so you haven't paid down your time cost on it. That's the real. So the myth of this overnight success is wild. We see it on Shark Tank, because a lot of I'm a huge fan of Shark Tank, and a lot of people in business spaces I know, they'll pop in and watch Shark Tank here and there. They may not take it as seriously. I don't really take it too seriously now that I've been on the other side of running a business, but there's still some good information you get from it. But one of the things that people don't understand is a lot of these people, and it's not some indictment against Shark Tank, and it's not this broad sweeping thing about Shark Tank, but you got to understand that the people that go on that show, Either they've paid the time down and they have a huge time investment in the business that they're presenting on there, or they got a lot of capital. And when I say a lot of capital, look how many people come from, well, I used to work at Google. I worked at Facebook for all these years. I was an investment banker all these years. And so we had a little bit of startup money set aside. How much of your own money is in this? Oh, I put $1 million of my own money into it. A million. We in this society have been programmed to believe that $1 million is not a substantial amount of money, which is crazy to me. Um, as a business owner, I'm telling you, $1 million is a lot of money. But we've been conditioned to say, "Oh, that's only $1 million." They put $1 million of their own money into it. Most people I know don't have $1 million of their own money to put into anything. A lot of people I know don't have $500 of their own money to put into anything. And so we get these weird mutations of what we think that success is supposed to look like based on television and these social media posts. And we don't really understand the distorted lens that Shark Tank is showing you. A lot of the people that go on there have complete and utter shit show scams running. Um, they don't, the producer of the show do a little bit of due diligence, but it's impossible if somebody comes in with a level of confidence and it looks like they got a great idea, and it doesn't work out. Plus, you got to look at all the dissatisfied people that have gone into partnerships with sharks and read some of their stories about how things didn't work out. So we ignore failure. We're programmed to ignore failure, and failure is where a lot of lessons are. Like that's where the bulk of valuable lessons reside is in the failures. You know, if you go and want to see what if you want to know um, what illnesses were plaguing humanity at different points in time, you go investigate the graveyards. You don't investigate the survivors telling you their stories. We have a bias against the process of failing. We have a bias against it because we see failure as the end as opposed to just another step along the journey. And I'm as guilty of it as anybody else. As y'all have seen me talk about my struggles with imposter syndrome, it's a real thing. But we're really biased against the concept of failure. And we don't understand that those failures can turn in very valuable lessons. Um, so when I talk about the myth of the overnight success, one of the things that people don't talk about is you find that success early, and some people never recapture it. They never recapture the magic of the success they had in the first place because they had the success too early and they never really extracted the lesson, the same lesson that they would have got from failure. That bears repeating. They end up having success too fast, and then they never quite get the lesson that they would have received from failing the first time. So, lightning in a bottle, you know, needle in the haystack moment happens where they are successes despite their experience or knowledge, and they never get the experience and knowledge to duplicate that success over and over again. It's crazy. That's why, okay, so I know that, I have my own specific feelings about, cats like Mr. Beast or whatnot. I'm not gonna sit there and hate on the man. He's doing something on YouTube that you can still learn a little bit from, but he does go back and does the research on things that weren't too successful for him, on videos that maybe only had 300 million views instead of 800 million. I don't know what his metrics are for that, but he goes back and investigates that to figure out, okay, so why are people clicking off? Why are people not watching the whole thing? And then he goes back and weaves those into his new videos. And so he makes a product that's kind of bulletproof for his audience to capture the target audience that he wants, by going back and looking where people emotionally divest from what he's putting out there. That's learning from the failure. That this video underperformed, and he goes about and investigates why it underperformed. There's a lesson in there. That's what I'm trying to build my YouTube channel around. You know, I'm trying to figure out the timing and cadence of it. I'm trying to figure out, some videos blow up, some videos don't do too well. I'm trying to figure out what the difference is between the two things and what's happening, where people are clicking off and things like that. And I'm trying to make uh, my product better. I'm trying to learn the lesson from the failure. And so when I talk about the myth of overnight success, we talk about it in kind of I'm talking about it in this weird global term that a lot of people aren't thinking about. Um, or at least I haven't heard a lot of people talking about. Um, the overnight success, one, it takes longer than you think. I'm still on my overnight success path and it's been 7 years. Um, but so one, it takes longer than people think. And the other thing is that success can actually hurt you in the long run. Was it Bane and that the Dark Knight Rises, victory has defeated you. That's kind of what it is, where um, you had a massive, overwhelming success against all odds, and now you are beating yourself up because you can't replicate it, no matter what you do. So, anyway, that's what I'm talking about today. I think one of the things is when I talk about, TV and social media distorted, that's not something new. I remember clearly back in the days, you stay up late and that stay up late enough, and you would see little dude on the yacht with all the bikini girls around. He was a real estate dude. All that stuff was rented, but he wants to give you the vision of success. Wants to sell that vision of success to you. Because if he could successfully sell you the vision of him being successful, whether or not he actually is through his own methods, um, you once you see him like, oh, he's successful, he must know what he's talking about. And then instantly you're in a mode where he's already established that trust with you, and now he can sell you things. He bypasses the inner critic that prevents you from uh, critically scrutinizing what he's doing. I think that's also why, specifically a lot of good informative information that's out there on YouTube and out there online doesn't have high view counts because it's boring. Boring, it's not sexy. Is riddled, is kind of mundane. It doesn't tell you anything urgent or groundbreaking. It just gives you boring steps to follow to success. And boring stuff doesn't really spike engagement on social media. You know, by the numbers, useful information isn't sexy. You know, reasonable expectations don't draw people in. You have to be audacious and over the top in order to get a lot of eyeballs on it. But the stuff that has a lot of eyeballs on it is also really not informative and lower quality. But that's the pathway a lot of people try to follow to attain their overnight success. And then they end up frustrated because the results that they're chasing aren't created by this thing that they're following. And the thing that they're following really isn't been tested out. It's just somebody's image, is somebody selling you the image of success. I hope that makes sense. I really hope that does. And I apologize that this live stream is a little bit disjointed, but I'm just kind of coming off the top and yeah. Peace has cost you your strength. Victory has defeated you. Bane was dropping some bars in that movie. That is the realest thing. Bane was absolutely. If you go back and watch The Dark Knight Rises and just sit there and just watch all the quotables that Bane was dropping, it's amazing. Dude was really giving out some incredible bars that you could just use anytime at any point. Um, the victory has defeated you is still one of my favorite ones, but pieces cost you your strength. That right, like everything's good and no struggle and no fight, and now he's robbed of his strength. That's the realest thing ever. So, um, yeah, there's plenty of bars in that movie, and I can nerd out all day about that. Can nerd out all day about the bars in that movie. I'll sit there and watch that movie and watch Bane just walk in and um what was the one where he walked up, put his hand on dude's shoulders, like, "Do you feel in charge?" What? Bars. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, um, one of the things about it is, you know, still sorry, I'm still laughing about it. Now I'm in my nerd mode. Like I want to go back and watch the movie and talk about how Bane was just delivering like URL, if you're into battle rap, the URL level bars, like, you know what I'm saying? Um anyway, so um I lost my train of thought. One of the things is a lot of times that success will rob you of opportunities, and you just chase. If you just duplicate what successful people do, you're going to run into problems because you're only duplicating what they do, but you're not really scaling it for your life or your experience with things. So, case in point, if you look online and see, hey, this personal trainer got a lot of success by running Google ads or Facebook ads. And that's all you take from it. You say, well, in order for me to have success, I got to run Google and Facebook ads. You're going to end up costing yourself a lot of money because in order for Google or Facebook ads to deliver, there's some specific things you got to do. And if you don't understand how to target an audience or how to make a compelling call to action, how to make a great offer, I misfired with an offer this week where I thought it was a great offer and the crowd didn't respond to it the way I thought they would. But if you don't spend the time to learn those specific things, and a lot of times those personal trainers will go out and hire people who do that stuff for them. People who down to a science where they template it out, but it also costs a lot of money on the front end to get it done. But it also returns that investment multiple times over. If you go out just based on that limited knowledge, where you know specifically, well, I need to run Facebook, I need to run Google ads because that's what they did to get to success. You're setting yourself up to be down a couple hundred, a couple $1,000s with nothing to show for it because you didn't invest the time to learn how to do it. Those people who told you, well, I ran ads to drive traffic to my personal training program or my website. They're not telling you, well, I did try to run ads myself and it blew up in my face, so I hired a professional. Or I tried to run ads myself and I didn't get any return on it. And so I went out and invested hours and hours and hours learning how to write good, what we call advertising copy or ad copy to get people to buy my product. They don't tell you how it failed the first time. They only tell you the success that they had. And that's the crazy part. And I think a lot of times people really get caught up in, um, well, this successful person just did this. One of the big arguments I have online, and I'm looking at my time, I don't have a ton more time left. One of the big arguments I have online is, well, you just need to mirror Warren Buffett's investment uh, advice. And I'm not discounting that as an investment. I'm an investor, and he has a lot of good sage wisdom. Him and Charlie Munger have a lot of really, if you're in the investor space, they have a lot of good time tested information that can work for you. But if you're going to try to copy Warren Buffett's investment strategy, you need to have a couple of $1 million on hand because his investment strategy has been buying businesses. um, he, evaluates businesses and sees the returns and sees the management structure and a lot of the back end boring stuff that most people do not take the time to familiarize themselves with. And then he makes an assessment on how much this business is worth and he makes an offer, and then he adds that business to his portfolio, and then he keeps a lot of the same management in place, but installs a little bit of a different hierarchy where the reporting things are different. So the businesses run autonomously, but they're still part of his portfolio, if that makes sense. So if you're going to copy his strategy, you're going to have to put in the effort on how to evaluate a good business and determine if it's worth an investment to you. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And most people don't do that. They just see, well, if I copy his investment strategy and invest the same things as Berkshire, then I'll be good, which is true. You can kind of treat, I'm not getting into investment advice. So just, I'm just saying you can duplicate some aspects of what he does, but how he built that empire, built all that money wasn't in, buying and trading stocks. It was buying and acquiring businesses and putting them into his portfolio. So you don't have, unless you have a couple million and you have relationships with business owners um, in your community or around you, or even nationally or internationally, if you have those relationships with business owners, then maybe it's a good play. Understand that there's going to be one or two businesses that you invest in early on that absolutely are a complete waste of money. That's where the lesson is. If you think that every single thing that Warren Buffett is invested in returns money, he'd probably tell you that that's not true. He just learned enough from his failures to know what the warning signs are to guide his future activities. And that's what I'm talking about is the myth of that overnight success. Here's one of the things that we saw a couple years ago when the stock market was way overheated. Um, a lot of people, especially in the dot-com boom, and we could just go through the cycles coming up, but the dot-com boom was one where a lot of people who didn't know a damn thing about really investing dove in, and they had a lot of success because it was easy to have success because everybody was having success. The market was up. You could buy a stock and watch it go through the roof. And when the market crashed, the only people that remained were the people that either had the money on the sidelines and they could afford to learn hard lessons and see massive failures and reapply when the market heated back up, or the people that understood the game in the first place and knew, had a library of failures to research and use as a library of information to get their footing. That's what it is. You know, when everybody's making money in the stock market, you don't have to know anything. But when nobody is, that's when you separate who knows what they're doing from who doesn't know what they're doing and who has a sound strategy from who doesn't. And we've seen it happen multiple times again. Right now, it's happening in crypto. Whether the market ever recovers, we don't know. But the people that know what they're doing or have an idea of what they're doing are going to be the ones that end up winning the day. And in the process, there's going to be a lot of people when the next wave rises, that they're going to ride it up to the top and they're not going to have any idea how they got up there. The failure is the most important part of the lesson, and people avoid the failure like the plague. And that's the thing that keeps you alive when the plague really sets in. That's all I can say. So, um, the myth of the overnight success is crazy because for me, it's taken 7 years, and I'm still not what I would consider an overnight success. I'm working my way to it. And so, if I invest enough time, enough energy, and end up, getting the calluses and learning how to take defeats, and learning the lesson in the failures, I will overcome and I will be where I want to be. But I'm committed to that grind. And if you're not committed to that grind, if you're going to run for the hills the first time you have a major screw up, I'm sorry for you because you're going to miss out on some future opportunities to be great. And I think that's where, and especially in the social media world where being a business owner, being an entrepreneur is sexy, and people are really attracted to that lifestyle of making my own hours and showing up whenever I want to. They're so attracted to that lifestyle that they don't necessarily grasp the toll it can take on you during a personal life and all kinds of other stuff because it's not always roses, and that's fine. You learn how to not love every part of the grind, but expecting that it's not always going to be great. I think a lot of business owners fall down, specifically when it comes to building a presence on social media. I see it a lot where they'll start a channel or, start with one aspect of creating content, doing the content marketing thing. They start with one aspect and they don't immediately get that. Um, they don't really get a shot of those endorphins. You know, the video doesn't go anywhere. Nobody watches it, or you might get two people watching it in a month, and they never make a second or a third or a fourth or a fifth video to build upon it and learn how to get better. They just say, well, it doesn't work, and then they toss the whole thing out. Not understanding that just like any other thing that you try, it takes practice. You got to build your library. One thing I will leave you with, and it's kind of unrelated, but not necessarily. Um, the boring shit is what makes you money. Got that from Alex Ramosi, but it truly is. The boring things make you money, and there's a lot of people out there online, business owners, aspiring business owners, people with the side hustle. You have very specialized knowledge, and because you're intimately aware of that knowledge and intimately aware of the limits of that knowledge, you think that knowledge is boring or useless, and it can't be further from the truth. Your knowledge is gold to somebody else. Is boring to you is amazing to somebody who doesn't know what you know. So your your amazing knowledge about your amazing knowledge, you think is completely boring. Your intimate knowledge of how small engines work feels boring and mundane to you, but there's somebody out there right now that intimate knowledge can help out. And the only thing separating you from them is a video sharing that knowledge. And so this is what I saw words exist to do. We want to take your knowledge and share it with the world. We're going to take your knowledge and, show people what you know and put it as part of your content marketing plan. And then you can post it on your website and on your social media and stuff. So you can establish your expertise so your clients trust that you know what you're talking about. That's what it is. And so if you want to figure out how we get started, we can book an unstuck meeting. Um, Email me. I'm gonna put it on the screen here, and I can never find it when I need it. But if you're interested, I want you to visit my website at isellwords.net and shoot me a message and say, hey, I want to get unstuck. I want to get started. I can help you out with that piece. And it can be email marketing, it can be video marketing. It's just getting your voice out there and sharing what you know with people that it can benefit. That's how you get started. That's why people invest in businesses. That's why people follow people on social media. Either they're looking to be entertained or informed or both. If you can check off the informed piece of it, you may not always have to bring the entertainment piece of it. If you help people solve their problems, you don't always have to be over the top or entertaining or camera friendly. You just got to share your knowledge and tell people what you know. So that's my website. Come check me out. If you want to get unstuck, boom. The email is mail at isellwords to book a consultation with me. Schedule time. I can help you get unstuck. Stop. Let's wrap this up. Stop falling for the scam of the overnight success. Even if you manage to capture lightning in the bottle and have success without any of the other things that come along with being successful, i.e., learning, learning and putting the time and effort into it. Um, Eventually, that success is going to turn on you because you won't have the ability to have another success because you won't know how to duplicate what you did. Failure is really, really super important along your journey. And a lot of people quit at the first sign of failure. Most people aren't really conditioned to move past it. Ends up becoming their sticking point forever. They tried it and they failed it, and so they're never going to try it again. You got to lean into that failure. You got to learn what you didn't do right so that you can do it right next time. That's the lesson, and that's why the failure is more valuable than the overnight success. That's all I got. I appreciate y'all's time. Come get unstuck with me. You already seen the email and stuff. Just reach out to me. The Unstuck Sessions is on YouTube. It's on podcast on your favorite platforms. Go check it out. And I talk about different marketing things on there. We're going to be refiring up What's the Business with Brian and Brandy, and interviewing business owners. And I'm probably going to start interviewing business owners on the Unstuck Sessions to really start talking. I've had less on there. I want to bring in other people to talk about different things about marketing your business, and narrowly focus on that. So that's all I got. It's Brian with the Unstuck Sessions. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.